Hello, and welcome to another video on the Electron Octatrack Mark II. Today I have a pretty quick tip. I came across this sort of as a mistake, but I wanted to share it with you because it's so creative and just a really cool way to have even more fun with Thru machines specifically. So let's take a look at a Thru machine here. So the way that I discovered this was I had a Thru machine set up and I couldn't figure out why it would only play for like the first trig. If you guys have any experience with Thru machines, basically you have to have a trig on the one to basically activate the Thru machine and let it know to be playing back the information from the OP1 in this case. But what I realized was that I went over to my amp page and my hold had been set to something really short. And I realized that this was actually gating the input of my OP1. So I sort of decided to do some experimenting with it, and I realized that you can do a lot of really cool stuff just by letting in the signal at different times rhythmically. So instead of just sort of defaulting to having it start on the one and then have an infinite hold and release, I've set a scene up here that basically shortens the length of the hold and the release, so that as I'm playing, I can basically move this crossfader and adjust how much of the signal is going through. Now, if I go to the default, which is infinite hold and release, this will play back exactly as it normally would, because essentially these are just telling the Thru machine to continue listening at different intervals, and there's no kind of like distorted clipping or anything. There's no weird sounds that happen if you have it set to this setting where the hold and release are just infinite from one to the next. It's not going to create any sort of clipping sound. So I'll demonstrate that here. So first without the reverb pedal. So now as I turn this, I'm shortening the length of the I've also added a filter envelope to give it a bit more of a sharper thing, but we can take that off as well. So you can hear it kind of trailing off. That's the release that's been shortened. So this is different from sampling something and then triggering it at different intervals. For one, you get a dynamic input. So if I'm ARPing this, I don't actually know how often it repeats. I like using this ARP specifically because I don't really know how it's going to behave when I'm playing it. And because of that, it changes every time. So I may have a rhythmic pattern here that fits well with what I'm playing as well. But this will sound different, so I can demonstrate to you how I can affect the sound of it without, while still continuing to generate interest through effects and things like that. So I'll use the Empress reverb to demonstrate that. Without the gating. And you don't have to use an ARP for this either. You can always just play a pad or something. So let's say we have... not that. So let's change up the pattern real quick. Something random. from that point, you can always, set another flex machine to sample that exact thing or move it around, perform with it, have fun with it. Yeah, that's pretty much everything for today. This is the one trick I wanted to show you. So have fun with that. Thanks for watching.